Port workers now officially on strike from Maine all the way down the East Coast and into Texas. What exactly does that mean for us here in San Diego? Our friend Chase Wilsey is here to try to explain this. Chase, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, what does that mean for us here? Because you see that it's on the East Coast, but that doesn't mean we're not going to feel it. We have ports on the West Coast as well, but a lot of the goods come in there and come. Explain the whole relationship there.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you have to understand, obviously, now there's a lot more of a global supply chain that we work with. We have international trade. I mean, it impacts us regardless if it comes through the West Coast ports or the East and Gulf Coast ports. And actually, about 40% of all containerized goods, or a little bit more than 40%, come through the East and Gulf Coast ports. Okay. Now, the biggest impact here is going to be to perishables, obviously. So like your bananas, your fresh fruit, you're going to have to keep an eye on that at the grocery store, because if this strike lasts too long, you might see an increase in price for those goods. Also impacts other goods like auto parts. So it could long-term have issues with car prices again. Could long-term have some issues with weight loss drugs. A lot of the components for weight loss drugs and medical devices come from over there. Now, I'm going to say the benefit here is a lot of these companies have been there, done that. What I mean by that, we've faced a ton of supply chain issues over the last few years, not to mention COVID, the Baltimore Bridge collapsing, issues in the Red Sea. So a lot of these companies weren't naive to the fact that we might have a port strike. Costco, for example, pre-shipped a lot of goods. We've had a lot of pre-shipment for our holiday goods. I think it's somewhere around 80% have been pre-shipped. So a lot of companies plan in advance. I also talk about Novo Nordisk. They've talked about using air freight to get those weight loss drugs over. So there's a lot of different things they can do. They use the West Coast ports. I mean, they are, I'm going to say, battle tested at this point. If the strike lasts a long time, that's when the issues ensue.
It's amazing you mentioned this pre-shipping, because a lot of these companies did that more than they normally would. And they were even told, hey, get your stuff off now, otherwise it's stuck there. So they must have seen this coming way in advance, right? So how did they know that? Just the vibes, and people just kind of were talking and they knew this was coming down the pike. A 77%, something like that wage increase is what the port workers are demanding here. Is that even going to happen? Talk to me.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the nice thing is, I think you said the vibes weren't there. I mean, we've been talking about this for months, that the rhetoric, and we saw issues with strikes last year from unions like the UAW. I mean, obviously the Hollywood actors and the writers. I mean, that type of rhetoric has been going on, and now we saw this months ago with this particular subset of a union. So I think a lot of people knew that this was coming. It wasn't a surprise when the strike came. You know, things kind of went about as normal because it was like, oh, we planned for this. Now, in terms of the wage increase, that is an important factor. Right now, they talk about the 70s. The union came out and offered, not the union, the actual organization came out and offered 50%.
50%, which is
over the next 6 years. So it's not like 50% today, but it's 50% over the next 6 years. Now they're talking about, I think the gentleman from the union wants 61.5, I think is the new number that he had mentioned the other day. The thing that's very difficult that they have to balance, we talk about inflation. This could be inflationary short term because of a lack of issues of access for goods, but if we give in too much in the wage increase, don't get me wrong, there should be a wage increase because it is for a 6-year period, but if it's too high of a wage increase, that's going to drive up costs as well, and long term could have a big impact on inflation.
Economics, it's a beautiful thing. You mentioned the short term, because I was going to ask you, potentially if this goes on and drags on into the holidays, or how long do you see this going, and what then could be, because the pre-shipping could only last you so long in the stuff you pre-ordered, right? So how does that play out?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, the longer this plays out, the worse that it is. They have estimates that for each week that this strike occurs, it's about a 0.1% hit to GDP. I'm gonna say it's not terrible, but the big thing is you don't realize the elongated impact that it has. And what I mean by that is, for each week that the strike goes on, it takes about 4 to 6 weeks to recover, because you have ships off the coast. You have different things changing out. Yeah, so I mean, you look at 2 weeks, now it expands even further. That's where the real issues ensue. And President Biden does have the option to do what's known as an 80-day cooling off period to make the workers come back. But he's in a really difficult situation because he's sold himself as the most pro-union president of all time, essentially. Are you going to step in here? And I think if things get bad enough, maybe if it goes on 2-3 weeks and there's no progress on talks, he might have to, because that might be an issue. That's where I think we'll have to keep an eye on things to see at what point do things get potentially bad enough that maybe we need some intervention.
Not to mention what this potentially does to people's investments.
Yeah, I mean, the investments.
It could affect that too?
It will a little bit. The biggest concern I have is inflation, because obviously we know about this. We know about the issues now in Israel and Iran. If that spikes oil prices, you have some potential lifts of inflation, which could put the Fed off their rate cut path. That would be the impact on investments. Right now, I'm not worried. It's something to keep an eye on. I'm not going to react to anything here. This most likely is a short-term impact, not something that's going to hurt you over the next 2-3 years.
All right, Chase Wilsey, excuse me. Thank you again. Great information as always. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
We'll be right back.